Loving Spirit of light, send more light into the world. Break through the darkness. Uplift those who are faltering and bless those who help. Amplify hope, joy, and love in the highest octave. Help me to do my part, as is right and good. In the name of the Ascended One, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
Little disconnect there.
What?
Oh, just between. I didn't know you were going to do that.
Oh.
You guys didn't know I was going to do that song. So
It's one of those things.
all works
We
out.
did the There's a Dream in My Heart, and we did the sign language to it. Of course, we didn't know if Phil was going to do the song, so those of us who knew the sign language were like, oh, I can't remember, what are we doing? So it was a challenge, but we did it.
Yep.
I need an extra table here. I'm going to put this over here.
Careful, you're. Okay.
I'll be back.
Okay. Hi, Myrna. Hi, Teddy.
I'm going to leave you that. Do you have your phone? Are you going to check the...
I don't have my phone.
Okay, never mind.
Carol does. I can't.
Carol, come on, pass it.
To check the Facebook comments.
Of course, Phil could do it from the back. Good morning. We're back.
Howdy doody, everybody. We're actually here. This might be the last day of our heat spell. That would be nice. That would be nice.
This heat is...
And the smoke maybe
Excruciating.
might be going away. Who knows? Time will tell. We do have a couple patron saints by the name of John Lennon and George Carlin, though.
George and John.
And John said, when we say war is over, if you want it, we mean that if everyone demanded peace instead of another TV set, then we would have peace.
Before you go on, is my microphone turned right?
Nope, backwards.
Sorry.
This old been a little muffled, so I'm sure couldn't really do it.
Is that right? No, that's right. If I do this?
Yep.
Technical stuff.
And we still don't have the technical stuff figured out for simultaneous YouTube, Facebook.
Y'all pray for us, please.
We are
'cause
about
it's-
2 more steps away from it, but still haven't figured it out. So,
Yeah.
all right. And George said, "I used to be Irish Catholic. Now I'm an American. You know, you grow."
Sacrilegious.
Yeah, well, of course it is. Of course it is. It's
Better to be
George.
sacrilegious than sanctimonious.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. And today, our calendar for August, with a nice article on the back from Jan. I guess it was that way. It was that. There's a Metaphysics 2020 discussion group with Josie Holloman today. Phone number's on the on here, and she wanted me to remind everybody that that is today, 1 o'clock, 1 to 3:30. So, I assume where's Josie? There you go. At your place or?
No, here.
Oh, it is here. Okay. So nobody tells me anything. So it's
doesn't
here.
read.
It's here. So if you want to be here, huh? Oh,
The topic
who
for
are
today
we? Who are we becoming, and where are we going? Now, that'd be a good topic.
Good topic.
Good topic.
Goes kind of along
Good
with
topic.
what we're going to be talking about
No.
the next few days.
Really?
Next few Sundays.
Okay. A sign on, these are signs that are precious. An electric company. We would be delighted if you would send in your payment. However, if you don't, you will be
Delighted.
delighted. Sorry. Sorry.
There should be a groan button on that.
Well, yeah, there probably is. In a restaurant window, don't stand there and be hungry. Come on in and get fed up. In the front yard of a funeral home, drive carefully. We'll wait. At a propane filling station, thank you, heaven, for little grills. Yeah, oh, they are really groaners. And don't forget the sign at the Chicago Radiator Shop, best place in town to take a leak. They had a sign like that outside of Reno, Nevada for decades. I loved going to Reno just so I could see that big sign because it was the only thing out there.
Is that a great place to come take a leak?
Yeah. No. A Radiator Shop sign
Oh, that said that.
that said that, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Dr. Watson and Sherlock Holmes little comic thingy, and he's got his little magnifying glass. He's looking at an empty bottle on the top of a mantle, that used to have, like one of those nice little ships in there. So, Sherlock, something's missing, Watson. No ship, Sherlock. It's another groaner, really? Really?
So, but we watched the Jungle Cruise, Disney Jungle Cruise.
Oh, we do too.
Lots of groaners in that one.
Oh my
You
goodness.
think Phil's better?
Oh.
Man.
Yeah, Dwayne Johnson, he was highlighted. Oh my goodness. 1 in 3 Americans bite their fingernails. Okay.
Only when they're ragged. Gotta fix it. Other than that, no.
Beauty is such a simple thing. A tender bud, a bird on a wing.
Mm-hmm. True.
The heart that loves is always young.
Oh.
Nice.
We'll be young forever.
Yep.
Forever young.
That's why I'm so childish.
Is that what it is? Is that what it is? I thought that was a whole
That's a
other
good
thing.
excuse.
I thought that was
It's a
whole
good
other
excuse.
thing. Speaking of childish,
Yes.
yesterday we were at breakfast and we were sitting outside at a restaurant, and it was not a flat place that had our table, and so our coffee was kind of
And
at
the
a
table
tilt.
moved a lot.
And the table was, yeah. So anyway, I was telling Phil something, and he was agreeing wholeheartedy with me.
With my arm on the table.
So all of a sudden I said, Phil, don't nod your head so loud. Because the coffee was about to slosh. So don't nod your head so loud.
Where am I?
I have no idea.
Okay. I don't remember. For art to exist, for any sort, I did that one. So.
I don't know that any of us would remember.
Oh, I remember.
Okay.
Some of them.
Well, then there
If you
go.
steal from an author, it's plagiarism. If you steal from many, it's research. Did I do that one?
Yeah.
Okay, then thank you very much. I go on to the next page. I could not remember. Hell is full of musical amateurs. Music is the brandy of the damned. George Bernard Shaw. I know.
Say it again.
I know. Hell is full of musical amateurs. Music is the brandy of the damned.
Oh.
I had to do that one just because it's like, okay, well now he's a pretty sharp guy. I don't get it.
What was he, Baptist or something?
Could have been. I don't know. The limits of my language mean the limits of my world.
True. Mm-hmm. True.
Rules and models destroy genius and art.
Ooh.
I like that one. A journalist is stimulated by a deadline. He writes worse when he has time.
Oh, that's not true.
Yeah, speaking for you, that's for sure.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, the
At
queen,
time crunches
the
like
queen of tweak.
Yeah. Brain just freezes up.
Yeah, she always changes things. I mean, like 40 times, and just
Well,
so it has to be
it's
just
gotta be
right.
right.
It has to be just right. I agree.
Mhm.
I agree. And I like this one. Why not go out on a limb? Isn't that where the fruit is?
Interesting.
I like that.
Very
I
interesting.
like that. So, anything else going on I should know about?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay.
Didn't mean to surprise you there.
Yeah.
Oh, scary.
More coffee.
Mary Loga is retiring from doing
Oh.
the Prayer Warriors leadership.
She's done
had
it for
her
I don't know,
decades,
20
yeah.
years? I mean, a long time. Long time.
And she's had her 4th surgery. First it was one ankle, then the knee, and then the next knee, and then the 4th is the last ankle. And it's just hard work to recover. It's hard work to get your balance back. So she needs to let that go. And so we're looking for someone who would be willing to do that. And what that requires is...
You don't have to do it for 20 years.
No. And we may even need a team of people to take Mary's place. But what it requires is being able to post things on Facebook and send out an email to an already completed list when somebody has a prayer request. I don't know about you, but those prayers are powerful.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to have that connection when you know that when you're going through something and you say, hey, could you pray for me? And there's 50 prayer warriors. And so you know that 50 people in their own way are holding you in sacred ground and uplifting you to divine source so that your situation can be ameliorated. So anyway, really important work, very valuable. So if you want more information on that, please contact me or Mary Lilga.
So wasn't it Tracy that said she felt when everybody did that? Or was
Yes,
that the candle
yes.
vigil that you did?
That was, yeah, but it was all part of the prayer warriors thing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
people feel it when we pray for them.
You do.
Prayer works miracles.
A man is, I don't remember if I did this one. A man is arrested for stealing a can of peaches and is brought before the judge.
You
I
did
did,
it.
okay.
Oh,
Still like it.
Oh,
A drill sergeant chewed out one of his cadets when he smiled coyly and said, I guess when I die, you'll dance on my grave. The cadet shakes his head. Not me, Sarge. I promised myself that when I got out of the Army, I'd never stand in another line. A woman is on trial for beating up her unfaithful rock star husband with his guitar collection. The judge asks her, first offender? No, she says, first a Gibson, then a Fender. That's good. I like it. I'm done.
are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
You done?
Yeah.
Is that it? That's all there is for you, huh?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think I could use a water when you
Okay.
get a chance.
Okay.
Oh, look at these cool things that,
We've had forever.
no, Nancy orders us.
Oh, new ones?
Happy face. Says Divine Fellowship on it. You keep cool. So, we got a bazillion of these. So,
Our gift to you and
I'll give
anybody
to
else
you,
that wants
and
one.
if you want one, take one, take two, whatever. Anyway. So today, need bigger tables. Today's tough. Today's tough for me because it's an interesting subject that I'm going to just give you my opinion about. And is that better? You know, can we just start over? So I'm going to share with you my opinion about some things. There'll be a Bible verse, but I'm going to show you my opinion of that. Somebody else could read that same Bible verse and have a different opinion. So just remember, this is my opinion. If you disagree with that, that's way okay, because you could have a different opinion. I'm not attached to you buying hook, line, and sinker, whatever it is I have to say. However, I am going to offer you some things that I think is really important for us to think about. Make sense? So our topic today is exit points. And exit points is a word I made up, but it means when we exit this physical realm. And some of us have more than one exit point. Have you ever been in an accident where you thought, I'm lucky to be here? Anybody have that experience? Yeah. Maybe a really bad illness that you thought, oh man, I'm not going to make it through this, but you did. You had an exit point. So an exit point is the opportunity that the soul has to choose out. Now, this is complicated stuff because we have a spirit and a soul. Let me tell you about that. Good Book says in Hebrews chapter 4, verse 12, for the word of God is living and active and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing as far as the division of soul and spirit, of both joints and marrow, and to be able to judge the thoughts and intentions of the heart. So there's a soul and a spirit. Well, what does that mean? Your guess is as good as mine. My suggestion is that our soul is our personality. Our soul is this person moving through the world, experiencing things. And our spirit is that part of us that is always connected in, that never gets harmed by life's challenges, that's always healed, whole, and pure. Does that make sense to you? Am I communicating that clearly? So there's two aspects of our being, and that's in the spiritual side of us. And I'm going to try to explain a little bit of that more to you a little bit today. I'll do the best that I can. Because what happens here is I'll go to God and I'll say, I don't know what this means. Can you help me understand this? So thoughts and insights will come. And I'll just share with you what I get. But I want you to think about it yourself. Ponder this yourself if this rings true for you. So the spirit and the soul are intertwined because it takes the sword of truth to cut to pierce them. Make sense? So have you ever noticed that when you're upset about something and you find the truth of it, you just kind of settle? Like maybe there's some conflict between you and somebody else and you just find your truth. Well, truth is blah, blah, blah. And you just settle in. Truth is their opinion doesn't matter. And you just feel okay. That's truth. That's the sort of truth. It's powerful. It's really, really powerful. And it's like a two-edged sword, cuts coming and going. So it cuts through all the illusion of this stuff we get caught up in. Because our soul is the part of us experiencing life. And so the soul is influenced by life. We're influenced by difficulties and challenges and frustrations and traumas and all that sort of thing. That influences the soul. The spirit's steadfast. But when we get caught up in the physical reality of the world, then we disconnect sometimes spiritually. And when we do that, then the spirit part of us gets a little diminished. It's not as fluid. It's not as powerful. We don't have access to as much of that as we might have if we were tuned in. How do we tune in? One of the things we can do to tune in is prayer. It's a powerful way to tune in. Have you ever noticed you feel better after you pray for somebody else? That's because you tuned in. You tuned in spiritually. Gratitude is a beautiful tool to tune in spiritually. And what that does is by feeding that connection to spirit, that feeds the soul, and the soul is more resilient. The soul is stronger. The soul is more powerful. But the soul has its own wisdom, its own knowledge, its own understanding. Phil and I have done a lot of bedside stuff when people are passing. And there'll be people who will, hey honey, Phil, my beloved, could I get some water, honey? Thank you. There'll be people who will wait till the last grandchild shows up, and then they pass. And then there's people who will wait until everybody leaves the room, and they'll go. I had a beautiful story just a couple of weeks ago. A friend of mine, Connie, her mother was passing, 93 or something, I think. No, maybe she's older than that, I don't know. Old. And so she was kind of struggling along, and Catholic. So the Catholic priest came in and read her the last rites. And at the very end, he put his hand on her forehead and he said, I release you. She took a deep breath and was gone. That was her last breath. So the soul makes those choices for us. The soul has a lot of power. So I want us to look at that soul work, that soul stuff. Thank you, dear. I don't know if I can find my papers. So exit points are the opportunities that are presented to our soul so we can sometimes begin anew, make a new choice. So whether that beginning anew is crossing over to the other side or it's a new thing here. And sometimes, we know somebody here at the church that has changed their name. That was an exit point because she exited from her old life and is stepping into a new life. with a new name. That's an exit point. That's a transition point. And these exit points can be really, really powerful. A couple of examples I want to give you here. I'm not sure what order would be the best to give them to you. Let me tell you, I'm going to relay a story about my brother. He's here today. I think he's awesome, but don't tell him that. Shh. So, I think it was about, 2.5 years ago, a year and a half? Kathy passed? 3. Time flies, wow. And right after that, he and I went to Sedona to do the Sedona method workshop. And when he got there, it was like his thoughts were, I can't live without her. And through the week of the Sedona method, doing extra things, and they worked specifically on that topic with him, at the end of that week, he said, you know, I don't like it, but I have to find a new way to live without her. And the very next week, he went to, I think it was a state park with friends, and came back with a really bad cold. So he was over at the house and visiting us for a bit. We said, Joe, you don't sound good. And he said, well, yeah, I got a doctor's appointment on Tuesday. And both of us, Phil and I, said, you don't sound good. I don't think you should wait till Tuesday. And so he went in to the urgent care right away. He was already getting fluid built up in his lungs. So he made choices that saved his life. I think if he had not made the choice, I don't like it, but I'm going to find a way to live without her, I think he could have gotten pneumonia very easily. If he had delayed going in to see the doctor, was a choice, he could have very easily gotten pneumonia. And with a mindset of I can't live without her, it would have been an exit point for his soul. He made a new choice and changed. He changed his whole world by saying, I have to find a way to live without her. He's changed his whole world. He's not the same person he was 3 years ago. Not at all. I liked him before. I really like him now. It's okay.
Don't tell him, right?
But I don't tell him. No. It's a secret. Shh, don't tell him. So we have points of choice in our life that put us on a totally different path. Have you ever had a big career change? Yeah. And those career changes is like an exit point. Your soul makes a new choice and you do it differently. That's why sometimes when men retire, there seems to be a real pattern. Maybe it's not just men, but from what I understand, a lot of men who retire will pass away within a year or two. You heard that? It's because the pattern that was set for them is done. And either they create a new pattern for themselves, or their soul is going to choose an exit point for them, create an exit point for them. Make sense? Make sense? These exit points are vital and imperative in our life. Now I want to talk to you about something hard. Okay, my own personal experience. I've got 2 to share with you. Okay, so some of you know that I have battled with suicide for a long time. I don't anymore, and I'll tell you about that down the road. There's a whole healing process thing that I'm going to share with you down the road, but for now, just know that I struggled with that. And Phil and I had just gotten married. Gosh, we must have been married maybe 6 months, if that. And just couldn't, my son was doing drugs and bad stuff, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I had a really rough boss, really rough job, and I couldn't do it anymore. And didn't tell anybody. Phil and I had this agreement we wouldn't spend more than $50 without telling each other, but I was going to take myself out and not mention it. The brain doesn't think right when you're in that state of mind. So, excuse me. So, I would every day would go. Oh, I can go 15 more minutes. I can go 15 more minutes. I can go 15 more. First, it was I can go today. Then it was like, well, I can at least get through work. Well, at least I can get through an hour. Well, I can get through 15 minutes. I was down to 2 minutes. And, well, you know, can I do 2 minutes? I don't know. I don't know if I could do 2 more minutes. The phone rings. It's Phil. And he says, I don't know what's going on with you, but I'm on my way. I'm going to come get you. And I said, okay. He said, don't do anything till I come get you. Promise me. And I said, okay. And I was okay for that. And then, as some of you know, I went into a hospital and weeks of therapy, and it was exactly what I needed. It was my exit point to change. Exit points are the opportunity to change. I could change. I could change my mind. I could change my patterns. And here, one thing I want to say about suicide. Suicide is evidence that your coping skills are not working. They failed you. You're not a failure. They failed you. Get help. Get new coping skills. Do it differently. Got it? Got it. Okay. So that brings us to the question then, what about people who, how many people know someone here who passed away by suicide? That's a lot. That's a lot. How come you didn't get the ping like Phil and give him a call? And there are people who are agonized. I should have known. I should have seen him. I should have called. Here's the thing. My soul knew I could change. My soul knew that I had the opportunity and I would take it and I could make a big difference because I had things to do. I think sometimes our soul knows we're done and blocks people from receiving that information. So you can totally take yourself off the hook on that. Let me say this again. Take yourself off the hook. If that soul wanted to survive, someone would have gotten that information and would have acted on it. Did you hear me? So let it go. It's not your fault. I know people that are in agony because they think it's their fault. They should have known. They should have done this or should have. Let it go. It's their soul made that decision. Just like that woman when she was hand on her forehead saying, I release you, and she let go. She let go. It was their choice. This is the soul's choice. Your soul has a lot of power. Your soul feeds your spirit feeds your soul. They're interactive, they work together. Can't have one without the other. When we do make choices and make changes, I call that living reincarnation. Reinvent ourselves. And the good news is you don't have to die and be reborn and have to learn to walk and talk and feed yourself. You're already there. You already have the basics down. So you just get to learn the new stuff. So the point I want to make here is that if you're struggling, your soul may be saying it's time to make a new plan. I want it different than what I've got right now. And this is your opportunity to shift. Shift happens, right? Sometimes the exit points happens because our destiny has been fulfilled. We did what we came here to do. We have a soul contract before we get here. I'm going to learn this. And so we fulfill that. But are you done? You could be. Maybe there's more for you to do. Maybe there's more you would like to take on. Take it on. Take it on. Take on that shift. It's like a new purpose or a new focus. We get to reinvent ourselves. It propels us into a life-altering change. It's a new state of being. Your soul chooses its lessons. And it can choose again. You can have conscious choice about that. So I want to read to you one more thing. Another one of my favorite verses. This one comes from Psalms 51, verse 10. Create in me a clean heart, O God. Renew a steadfast spirit in me. We get to recreate ourselves. We get to reinvent ourselves. Every day could be a new exit point, but once we make that big shift, it's not like we have to make it every day. But once we make that big shift, then we can ask Spirit, Divine Source, to clean our heart, clear our soul, and renew that steadfast spirit, so that our spirit and our soul are in alignment with this new purpose in our world. Now that's how you manifest. We talk about manifesting here a lot at the Divine Fellowship, because it's a very interesting subject. You know, we believe that we have power over our world. We believe that, well, I'll tell you what I believe. I believe that there's God's part and there's my part. And that God will do God's part. And if I try to do God's part, it usually doesn't work out too well. And if I don't do my part, expect God to do my part, that doesn't work out too well. So it's discerning what's my part and what's God's part. And do my part, then I manifest. Well, if we want to manifest different, we get a different mindset, get a different set of goals, a different purpose for ourselves, realign to a new truth about who we are. That requires us to look. Who the heck am I? Like my brother had to reevaluate. He was so caught up in he and Kathy were a thing. This was who he was. He was Kathy's husband. And he had to come to terms with, no, that's not who I am. Who I am is Joe. And I can be any Joe I want to. You can be a regular Joe if you want it. You can never be a regular Joe. So understand this is big stuff. But if you're wanting to manifest stuff in your life, get fired up about it. If you're not fired up, you're not accessing both spirit and soul at the same time. You're doing drudge work. Now, certainly, we can get our soul and spirit to work together, because guess what? Somebody's got to clean the toilet, and somebody's got to scoop the cat box. But you know, we can make those things kind of fun if we want to, or we can have a positive mindset about that. And it makes even the stuff that is necessary enjoyable, or it makes even things that are necessary workable, so that we can put our spirit into it and make anything that we're looking at as worthy work. For me, I always sing that song, I really don't like it, scoop the cat box, scoop the cat box. You do what you got to do to make it all work, you know? But what are you here for? If you don't know your life's purpose, choose one. This is about the power of choice. Your soul has tremendous power. And the choice doesn't have to be, well, I'm going to go get that job. It could be, I'm going to be this person. And when you make the choice to be this person, that changes everything. And then whatever job fits that is going to work for you. Even if you're retired, you'll find things that feed that, things that fulfill that. Does that make sense? This creates that fire within. And when we have that fire within, then we live this life that's expanded. We have this expanded awareness, this power that it's not like it's driving us, but more like igniting us and getting us into living and not just drudging. Now, I don't know about you, but the smoke and the heat and the COVID and all that stuff, it's draining.
Yes.
Is it not? Finding that soul's purpose can override that. And it doesn't matter how smoky it is outside. It doesn't matter how hot it is outside. I can still find that purposefulness in my world. And I can still move forward. And I can still be ignited and lit up and joyful, no matter what. That's what I'm asking you to do. And we do that when the soul and the spirit are in alignment. How do you know if they're in alignment? Are you happy? If you ain't happy, it's time to look. If you're happy in this area but not happy in this area, take a look. because that happiness is not dependent upon circumstances. I'm talking about that deep joy happy. Because, you know, if friends brought over some ice cream sickles, the orange and vanilla things from Dairy Queen, that made me happy. But the joy that if they hadn't brought that, I'd have still had joy in my life. That's a different kind of quality. And that comes from this working together of the soul and the spirit when they're in alignment. And we get in alignment by choice. What are we choosing? Sometimes we choose what we think other people expect of us. We choose what has always been. It's time to choose what you want out of life from your heart's desire. You know what I wanted is not happening. That's not going to make you happy ever, 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 ever. But that joy of, okay, here's what I see in my life for me to do, for me to be, what's next for me. Does that make sense? See if I can give you an example of that. I'm being asked to give you an example of that, and I can't think of one off the top of my head. Let me think. 1 second. So it would be like, it'd be like changing careers. Be like, maybe I don't want to do that anymore. But find what you do like to do. And it might surprise you. And it may not have anything to do with your work. Because what brings us this deep joy and this spirit and soul working together is this energy of fulfillment, of fulfilling our destiny. And our destiny doesn't care what job you have. Your destiny is about who you are and how you're living. Living life to the fullest from this spiritual place of purposefulness. By choice, by choosing in. By choosing in. I was talking to someone this morning, and they're working on to share some messages with you. And she said, oh, I found a third one I want to do. And she's lit up. She's lit up. It doesn't matter what her career is. She's got a message to share, and it'll lit her up. So she's fulfilling her destiny by sharing that. What lights you up? Phil and I are going to talk a little bit more about this next week. So for now, let's just, let me see if there's anything else I need you to know. I think that's it for now. I think exit points are a gift from God to release an old life pattern we no longer need. I have a handout that Beth Clark made this. And I talked to you a little bit about this a couple of weeks ago. Signs that you might be out of balance, irritated by life challenges, fears holding you back, efforting is like, it's got to be hard. You feel like your truths are not respected, feelings of shame and regret. And then signs that you are in balance, signs that you are connected in, that these two, soul and spirit, are working together. Dancing through life's challenges, courage, willingness, and peace for your journey. Your creative self is online and open to guidance. You're a blessing to yourself and others. And more stuff. And then on the back is restoring balance techniques. So as some of you know, I channel the Ancient Ones, which is a group of ascended beings. And they have given, these are techniques that came from that work. So would you be so kind as to pass that out? You online, if you want that, I think that's available on our website, and I'll find out more about that and get back to you. How's that sound? Whew, talk myself up into a sweat. So let's do communion, and then I want to walk you on a guided meditation where we can connect in with our soul and spirit. So Mr. Phil, if you join me up front, please, sir. There's probably questions. I got you started.
Cool. Thank you.
So we are challenged here at the Divine Fellowship because we have these little individual communion cups, and they have these little sticky wicked things that are hard to.
You have to have your partner or somebody across the aisle help you with sometimes.
Right. So hopefully you got it all going. The little wafers on the top. So when you can get your little wafer ready.
And just be aware if you grabbed the gluten-free one,
Taste.
Don't
it's not
expect
for
anything.
Taste. It's not for taste at all. All right, so join us in prayer if you would, please. Loving Spirit of Light, as we take this in, nourish us, recharge us, refill us, rebalance us so that we can reconnect spirit and soul, and we can live a life fulfilled, fulfilling our destiny and being of service to ourselves and others. These things we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Yeah. It's almost like I forget from week to week.
I think I got here started, but I hadn't
Yes, you
started.
did. Appreciate that.
Oh, there we go. Join us in prayer again, please.
Part of it is trying to be careful. You're not
Yeah, I don't
spilling
want to
anything.
slosh.
And the other part is
Getting it.
hands don't
Fingers
work.
working. Okay, join us in prayer again, please. Loving Spirit of Light, as we drink this in, help us to drink in life, all of it. And if it ain't working, help us fix it. Help us change. Help us do it differently. Bring us gratitude. Bring us our destiny. Reveal it to us. These things we pray in the name of the Ascended One, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
So, contribution basket.
Yep.
Do we want to drum a little bit while we're doing that?
Sure. Who wants to drum?
Who wants to drum? I'm going to move this so you can see the drum.
Who wants to do this?
I'll turn the drum.
He's gonna do the drum.
I can do that too. But,
Yeah, why don't you while you're there?
Got the microphone?
Carol has a microphone.
Okay. Roy, since you're sitting right next to the microphone.
I was close. I said, girl. He's old and a shopper.
I want to say, we're in a great church,
Yes, we are.
and keep that church going, it takes financial stability, so please give what you can give. If not, give a blessing. Blessings are important too. Thank you.
Amen to that.
Thanks.
You're Jesus.
That worked.
Thank you.
Wow, you guys did good.
Wouldn't hurt my
both
feelings at all. if
ended
you
at
did
the
that
same moment.
Really loud.
Great. I know.
At all. Let's do a guided meditation.
I have to say that there is no doubt in my mind that we are the only church in the universe that has a Christian base, but does all the metaphysical stuff that we do, and has drums. Has drumming.
Yay for us, yeah. Full meal deal.
It was a lot of years before I admitted that. No, because everybody says, "Oh, this is so different." Well, really, there's got to be something elsewhere. There apparently is not, from what we understand. Talking to lots and lots of people everywhere. People tell jokes now, so I don't know if we started that or not, but certainly some services now start with jokes. So, but they can't be as stupid as mine. So.
I hope they're not.
Hope they're not.
Okay, so guided meditation. Mr. Phil, if you dim the lights just a bit. And the really nice thing about the Divine Fellowship too, like Andrea's got to wrap yourself in a blanket. We've handmade quilts, handmade shawls that people have made for us, because when you sit still in meditation, you get a little chilly. So if you can't find one, they're at the end of the pews, holler, somebody will make sure you get one. Okay, so if you need a blanket, help yourself. A little music to get started with. All right, so just center into the core of your being. Just be here. Be in this moment. Notice your physical form. If there's any areas of discomfort, just notice. Notice it without judgment. Notice it without having to fix it or change it. Just letting it be. And now bring your attention to the bottoms of your feet. There's an energy portal there. As you bring your attention there, that energy portal will open. And as that opens, any stress or discomfort that you just noticed can just drain out the bottoms of your feet. It takes conscious awareness to hang on to pain, difficulty, lack of ease. Sometimes it helps to take a breath in and exhale. Sometimes you can just do it with your thought. Now to increase that process, you're going to bring your attention now to the top of your head. And as you open that up, this connects you to Divine Source. Now your spirit is always connected to Divine Source, always. Even when we get it all cluttered up with life events, even if we get it all cluttered up with judgments and sorrows, doesn't matter. This connection is always there. But with a mindful intent, it amplifies. And this brings in that living light of love that feeds your spirit. And the spirit can then feed the soul. So allow yourself to receive that. Receive it with gratitude. Let it touch your mind. And let it touch your discernment centers, which are right above your eyebrows, and your third eye, and your occipital lobes in the back of your head. This is all part of that circuit for perception. When we perceive Divine Source connection, it changes how we perceive our world. So allow this connection to shift your perception, and allow anything that is not in alignment with this divine light of love is just disconnected and will drain out the bottoms of your feet. Bringing more and more of that living light of love, and let it touch your ears, your throat, your mouth. This is your truth circuit. It's the truth that helps us discern our soul and spirit, helps us amplify the purposefulness of our soul and spirit. So let this energy touch that truth circuit and amplify your truth. The truth of who you are, truth of who you're becoming. Letting more and more of that living light of love flow into your shoulders. We carry a ton of stress on our shoulders. You might want to just roll your shoulders and release that. Where there's tension, this energy doesn't flow as easily. So allow that to flow now. And it'll flow down into your arms and into your hands. And when that energy gets into your hands, this gives you the power to do what you choose to do. That whatever you choose to do becomes worthy work because you have spiritual connection applied to it. Letting more and more of this living light of love touch your heart space. And from your heart space, let it go into every organ, every system, every tissue, every fiber, every cell, even down into your cells, into your DNA. Giving you the opportunity to fulfill your purpose and to change your purpose with choice. Letting more and more of this living light of love flow through your torso, through your legs, through your knees, ankles, through your feet, and down into the earth. You are an anchor of this living light of love into this physical realm. We have been taught a lot about the darkness in the world recently, but that's not who we are. That's not the truth of it. Darkness cannot invade the light, but the light can extinguish the darkness. So bring it. Allow yourself to be a conduit of this light. What a gift, what a blessing you are. And now gently close the bottoms of your feet. And as those close, more and more living light of love flows into your being and into the energy field around your body, your aura. So you are in light, bathed in light, surrounded by light. You are light. And now let's take a little walk in our imagination. We're going to find our way to a sacred cave. How you get there is up to you. What it looks like is up to you. But you'll find yourself at the entrance of this sacred cave. And as you step inside, it is lit by a fire within. And as you step closer, you can see that this light is not limited to this cave room, but every passageway leading to this cave is lit with this light. And notice the fire burning. There's actually two fires that are burning together. Is one color and one a different color? What does it look like to you? One is the fire of the soul, and one is the fire of spirit. They burn together. And notice, does one seem to be stronger than the other? Or are they even? Are they balanced? And as you're noticing this fire, allow yourself to find something in your world that you're grateful for. Allow yourself to find something in this plane of existence that you enjoy. It's fun for you. Feels good for you. Maybe it's reading a book. Maybe it's taking a walk in nature. Just notice that, whatever that might be for you. And notice that the fire gets stronger, gets brighter. And now notice your connection with Divine Source. Notice that you're loved. You're cared for. You're here for a reason. You have a purpose, a divine destiny. Even if you don't know what it is yet, it's okay. You don't have to know. Your spirit knows, your soul knows. And as you're aware of that, even if you do know your destiny, just noticing your destiny, how, whether you know it or not, notice that the fire burns brighter. And as you're noticing this fire, between you and the fire on the cave floor is a symbolic object, a gift, being left here for you to assist you on your path, to assist you on your journey to your destiny, to help your destiny unfold. Maybe it's just a word or a thought or a feeling, or maybe it's a symbolic object. Whatever you receive is what's right for you, a gift for you. So receive that with gladness. And as you receive that with gladness, notice that the fire burns even more brightly, allowing this fire to renew and burn brightly in this space, allows the fire of your soul, the fire of your spirit to burn brightly in your life. It is vital to feed this fire with your attention, with your intent, with the choices of what you bring into your own being, into your awareness, your focus. And as a symbol of honor to this fire, symbol of honor to the sacredness of your destiny, you're going to leave a symbolic object here. Maybe it's just a word or a thought or feeling or a symbolic object. Whatever you leave here has symbolic, spiritual significance for you, even if you may not understand it at this moment in time. So leave your gift. Leave your gift. And we'll discuss it in a moment. So stepping away from the fire, noticing that it still burns brightly, stepping back out of the cave, stepping back into your physical form, back into the here and now, back into your body, taking a breath in, exhaling maybe, wiggling fingers, wiggle toes, just to physically get back into this plane of existence. And you may have a question about the symbolic object you received and the symbolic object you were gifted with. So if you do, anybody here present have a question about their, yeah, Andrea?
I got a gold thimble,
A gold thimble
and I left one stem red rose.
and one stem red rose. So the thimble, that's kind of fun. So you use a thimble when you're pushing a needle through material, and it's a little difficult. So this is, but it protects your finger from hurting. So this is going to give you the power to do what you need to do without hurting. So in other words, it's going to make things a little easier. What color was the rose? Red, did you say? So this is about your passion for living. Follow your passion, and that'll make your life easier. Make sense? Anybody else here? Marlena?
I received a white blanket
A white blanket,
and gave back a musical note.
a musical note. So the white blanket, this is clarity. White blanket is clarity, purity, being wrapped in that. It's protection. So you've been given another layer of protection. And the musical note, this is your soul song. We all have a specific song that our soul sings. And this note is reminding you to sing your soul's song. And that is going to bless you greatly. Got a thumbs up on that one. Sue, did you? Yeah.
I received it was a pouch on the floor, like a leather pouch.
A leather pouch.
Indian, reminded me like of an Indian type thing. And it had a pink quartz pendulum in it.
Pink quartz pendulum.
And then
Okay.
I left
A river rock. Okay. So the leather pouch and the pendulum, this is about your sacred awareness and your intuitive abilities. So you're being gifted with a new measure of that. And the rose quartz is about love. So knowing that your love is the access point to your intuition. That's going to amplify your intuition. And tell me again what you left.
River rock.
A river rock. Okay, so the river rock is your willingness to go with the flow. Because they're smooth, they've been more. Yeah, you're just gonna. This is ease, allowing you ease. Your willingness to let it be easy. You don't have to work. You don't have to work hard on it. Yes.
I received a compass,
A compass.
but it was within a kind of a huge marble,
Okay.
a globe of glass that felt really good in my hand. You know,
Awesome.
it was a perfect fit. And then, but what I left was really interesting was I was going to leave a poem, but instead, right as I was about to hand it, I got this vision of a flower that I've never seen before, a different kind of flower. And it was like a hollyhock, only feathered and fuller. And it was
Awesome.
pink with kind of darker pink at the edges.
Okay,
Really
all right.
pretty.
All right. Let me see if I can ferret that out for you. So the compass that is in this sphere and comfortable in your hand, you will be guided and given direction by what feels right to your soul. So your soul is going to guide you. You know, compass is all about what direction you're going. So when you feel all okay, when you feel good about it, like that fire in the soul kind of thing, that's your cue. Follow that. Make sense?
Yes.
This unusual flower that you'd never seen before, and it was pink with darker pink edges.
And feathery.
And feathery. This is about, it feels to me, you have to check and see with this ring true that you've got now, it feels to me like this is an awakening and an unfolding on a whole nother level than you ever have before. Okay, make sense?
Yeah.
And the ruffling is, it gets to be soft, it gets to be easy, it gets to be gentle. Gentle for you and gentle for those in your world. Does that feel right to you?
It does.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else here? Yes.
Left
Cindy, right?
Teresa.
Teresa. Where did you
That's
go?
okay.
Okay, Teresa.
I got left an antique key.
An antique key.
Yes, and I left a white feather.
On a white feather. So the antique key is letting you know this is going to unlock the past for you. So anything in the past that may have been harmful or difficult, you can unlock it, let it go effortlessly. Because you're not the one letting it go. Spirit is helping remove that for you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
The white feather is angelic presence. So you have angels and guides that are here to assist you in that process as well. So just noticing your fire, the soul and spirit fire, is a process by which you can now bring some old sorrow and just throw it into the fire. And it'll evaporate for you. It will disengage from your awareness. That feels really good to me. I don't know, does that ring true for you? Yeah, awesome.
Sounds
Awesome.
perfect.
Awesome, awesome.
Thank
I love it. You know, that might be a technique that the rest of us might want to employ. Does that make sense? Peggy, I'll go back to you, Carol.
I was gifted with a crown that was gold-edged around very thin, see-through sheets of crystal.
Uh-huh.
And then what I left was breath.
Okay, the breath of life. So you had a crown.
Yeah.
And thin sheets of crystal.
Yeah, like see-through.
Like see-through. Let me ask on your behalf. Okay, so the crown is giving you, I'm hearing two things on that for you. One is honoring who you are, honoring what you've done with your life so far, honoring the choices that you're making for your life right now. And the see-through crystal is allowing you to have clarity in choosing what's next. Are you kind of at a place of choosing something. Okay, so they're gonna bring you extra clarity in being able to see and perceive what's right for you from this point forward. And what did you left your breath? So this is the breath of life. You know, when we pass, we release the breath of life. When we're born, we accept the breath of life. This is your choice. This is your power. So you're going to breathe life into whatever you choose you're going to do. Does that make sense? Okay. So you'll have clarity, and then it will ignite, and you'll breathe life into it. Okay, makes sense? Yes.
I have a funny one, so I've got to share it.
A funny one. Okay.
I heard, I was given the word, sock it to me.
Sock it to me.
Like rolling in Martin's lap and gold.
Yep.
That's what popped in.
Okay, so you're ready. You're ready. Bring it. Just bring it. You're ready for the next thing. You got this. Very good. Cindy. Okay, got it that time.
What was there for me was a triangular, like a gold plate,
Uh-huh.
eyeball in the middle,
Okay.
and then what I left was just the word courage.
Courage. Okay. So you're acknowledging for yourself that you have the courage to really access your intuition. The triangle with the eye in it, that's symbolic of intuition. That third eye, perceptions, that you're allowing yourself now to perceive things spiritually from divine source, letting spirit reveal it to you. Does that make sense to you? Awesome, I think that's great. Carol? Oh, Dory.
I received a hammer and gave a red heart.
A hammer. Anything particular about that hammer?
Just a regular building.
Just a building hammer. Okay, so you're ready to do the work necessary to build your life for yourself. So this is about construction. This is about putting pieces together. So it's like you have all the pieces. It's a matter of putting all those pieces together, and you're in a place ready to do that now. And what will help you to do that is knowing that you have the power of choice about that. What do you want? What do you desire? What's right for you? And put those pieces together. And what did you leave, dear?
A red heart.
A red heart. So this is reminding you that your heart's got to be in it. If you're not happy, don't do it. Change it out of your list. You know, and again, we all have things that we don't like to do. There are tasks that are just necessary for life. But at the same time, your soul's purpose is going to filter through all of that and help you put all of that together into what brings your heart joy and peace. Does that make sense? Okay, Carol?
Back in response with Teresa's, wow, I felt it too.
You felt it too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, Myrna.
Microphone, could you use microphone? Or is it's up here somewhere? Or never mind. Okay, I'll have to repeat it as all.
Okay, so she says, I received a silver alm.
Okay.
You know this. And gifted a big eagle feather.
Okay, so this is God connection. Same thing you've been getting is this God connection, connecting in with God. God is here for you. Reach out. The eagle feather is symbolic of God. Reach out.
Scott Green.
Yeah. Hey, Scott.
Got a squishy ball.
A squishy ball.
That you squeeze and the eyes pop out.
I'm going to pray on that one. Go ahead.
I like Scott. You gave 2 pieces of seasoned firewood.
Seasoned firewood. Okay. So the squishy ball with the eyes that pop out. Oh, Lord. Okay, so what I'm getting on that is that stay soft and squishy. But don't be afraid to make people's eyes pop out. Because you got stuff that, you've got that profound insight. Use it. Use it. And then he left, what was he left?
2 pieces of
seasoned wood. Okay, seasoned wood is wood that's been through it and is ready. So he's expressing the fact that he's ready on 2 fronts to do 2 things for spirit that'll knock their eyes out. Pop their eyes out. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Anything else? And we'll wrap up.
Christine Gill Fox received a white pearl.
A white pearl. This is the pearl of great price. This is truth. So she'll be able to honor her truth, and that's going to lead her where she needs to be. Does that make sense? That's going to guide her way. And this is the truth. I'm being told the truth here that is important for her to look at, the truth important for you to look at, is the truth of your own value. The truth of your own value. Okay?
I believe that's it.
All right. So we went a little long. I'm sorry, but I don't apologize, or I apologize, but I'm not sorry, whichever way that works. So Phil, if you want to join me up front, we'll disconnect with the people online, and then we'll, the ones in the audience will circle up. We'll do a closing song and an energy circle for us. Okay? Sound good? Here he comes. Whew, I'm tired. Big work today. Excuse me. Smoke. All right. Rub your hands together really, really fast. You can join in if you'd like. Your soul and spirit are connected to divine source. Let that energy come into your heart space, from your heart space, left hand to right hand. As that energy then goes back to your heart space, that completes a circuit. And when that circuit is completed, the energy between your hands is going to expand. It's going to grow. It's going to engage. So allow yourself to have a sense of that. Whether you see it or you don't see it, or you feel it or you don't feel it, it's there. So allowing that energy to build. Allow yourself now to take this energy, bring it into your heart space, and you live your life with joy, purposefulness, with your spirit and soul connected and active. God bless. We will see you next time.
Everybody say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.